Are we live? Ladies and gentlemen, hello. It's me, Tom. Thank you guys for being here. Let me know if everything tech-wise is working. You should be able to hear me, and you should be able to hopefully see me. And I see that there's a good chunk of people waiting in the lobby, so I appreciate you guys getting here early. And in just a couple minutes, we will crack into some stuff. I always leave a couple minutes at the beginning of the streams to let people trickle in. And so if you find yourself just settling in, go grab yourself a drink and come hang out. It's going to be a good time. I always say that I'm going to try to be a little bit more brief, but I'm really going to try to do it today because I actually have a session to cover after this. But I'm really excited about today's audience. I'm really excited about the presentation of today. For those that have checked out former ones, it'll be similar. But for first-time people that are just witnessing me and what we have going on here, again, thank you for being here. And hopefully we'll get a whole bunch of good information about our studio, how we've worked, how we've grown, and how we've obviously helped a whole bunch of other entrepreneurs and studio owners grow as well. So I'm really excited about it. What is always helpful for me is to kind of gauge the room about where people are at. So let me know where you're physically located. Let me know if you are thinking about getting into a studio, if you own a studio, if you made $1 million last year with your studio, and are just here to make sure that I'm not spewing misinformation. Let me know that in the chat there too. I'll try to help kind of gauge things. And in just a minute, I will go over kind of the agenda so you guys have a good idea about how things are going to go. But again, thank you guys so much for being here. And let me go to this so I can see everybody's chat. So Riley Black Media, good seeing you. Appreciate that. Splashy Shack, what's going on, man? How are you? 808 Media, good to see you. All right, cool. Florida, Virginia. Just signed our lease on Monday. Congratulations, man. That's very exciting. Very excited. How you feeling about it? How you feeling? Chris, what's going on, man? Good to see you in here. Want to open a studio from scratch? Well, that's what we're going to do. It's good to see you in here. The A Thicker, New Kingston, PA. I feel like we have another member from Kingston, PA, but interesting, cool. MI Place Studio, Detroit, Michigan. I wonder if we follow you. If we don't, we will. Isaac Williams, good to see you. Silent Wolf Studios. Okay, we got a bunch of people in here. How's everybody doing? Utah, I want to build a mobile studio. Okay, good. You hang out. I might have a little bit of advice for you at the end, and we'll go into that. But heading into year 2, congratulations, man. Hey, year 1's the toughest, man, with any business, but obviously with the creative studio too. You never know, right? So congratulations on that. DJ Echo here, Central Florida. I want to own a mobile production studio. Looking forward to learning vital things tonight. Well, Damien, good to see you too. We're going to cover a good chunk of what running a kind of brick and mortar actual physical location look like, but I think that you could take a lot of what I'm going to teach you guys tonight and apply it to a mobile service as well. So again, I'll start getting into the chats here. If you guys see me looking over here, I got my computer and a whole desk of stuff over here. And so we'll do that and we'll get kicking here. So as you guys are watching, I'm going to try to take a moment to kind of pause. But in general, a lot of the kind of questions I'll address at the end. I'm going to try to leave a little bit more time for Q&As. I have a couple of like kind of frequently asked questions that I'll go through. But if you have a question, get it ready. Hopefully it gets answered at least somewhat in the presentation. But we'll go from there. Strong Island TV, good to see you. 15 years in business. Well, I should be learning from you, man. I hope things have been going well. Just on a different YouTube. Okay, got it. Okay, cool. Awesome, guys. Well, let me get into the deck here. Let me go to this. Let me go to slideshow. All right, and I am going to drop to here. All right, guys. So we're going over the agenda right now, and then I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my background. There's some people that know me. There's plenty of people that just saw my ads and were like, hey, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. Maybe he doesn't. I appreciate you being here either way. I know it's always a little strange when you get an ad and then here you are in a webinar and stuff like that. But I want to tell you a little bit about my story, so hopefully you can relate. I also want to go over some of the results so I'm not just somebody that's hawking a course and has no business kind of teaching and educating the stuff that I'm on. I am still very much so a studio owner, primarily before we do anything with TSB or the studio business here. And then the green part's going to be kind of the main presentation that I'll get through today. Like I said, I'm going to try to do a slightly more expedited version. It'll be using this whiteboard behind me. And then obviously we'll tell you a little bit about the studio business community, what we do, how we operate, what's kind of inside, and hopefully you hear and see enough that you might be interested in joining. And then we'll leave a little bit of time at the end for question and answer. Again, if you guys have some, great. And so I always like to start too with who is this for? And I think for a lot of people, getting into a new venture at all is really just about research and understanding what you're kind of getting into. And so I think what I'm trying to do is kind of, show you what I did, as well as show you what has been successful with other people. But I think at the same time too, if you're looking for, Tom's about to give me the most important information in the next hour, and it will totally change my life. Well, I'd love to think that that will happen. I can only show you what I know, teach you what I know, and you'll have to make the decision for yourself if going into a venture like this makes sense for you. And with that, again, who is this specifically for? I think this is for people that are considering doing their first venture themselves. Maybe this is going to be their first business. Maybe this is going to be a side project that they want to bring in some additional revenue. They already have a studio. Maybe they're already doing freelance video work or something like that, and see the opportunity. But it's really for people that are kind of serious. Again, you guys are welcome to sit, hang out, hear what I have to say. You didn't pay to be here, so it's soak up as much information as you can. But again, if you think that you can drop a little bit of money, spend 1 hour a week on this business, and have it be super successful, that's just not going to happen. This is definitely not some get rich quick thing. But I think the trends in the industry is heading in a direction that there's ample opportunity for a lot of different people in here. And one of the things that I love about hosting this community is that we're really not in competition with each other, because if you have a studio in Michigan, Virginia, Florida, Arizona, your clients could be my clients as well, but people are not going to fly into Chicago every time they want to do a podcast. And so helping educate other studio owners, other people that are interested in getting into this, as to, the tricks of the trade and what we've seen work, not only with our studio, but others within the community, is super important. So if that sounds like you, sit in, and we look forward to going over that. So a little bit of my background, and I'll get not one, but two versions of me here. That was me just slightly younger. But my quick story is, I've since high school been kind of self-employed. I've had a couple of, side businesses, side hustles, as I would consider them. None of them until today in this business have really gotten to a point where they were, super viable. But I think I had an entrepreneurial spirit from the very beginning. I think that helped me out. I got into a music studio, and I was recording people out of my basement in my childhood home for a long time. And so that gave me an audio background, and it taught me about working with clients and, essentially trading, hourly services for money. And so that was my first foray into running my own thing, running a service-based business. And that taught me a lot. I know a lot of people that are probably watching, well, not a lot, but plenty of people that I talk to come to it from that side. There's a lot of recording studio people that are, seeing that it's a little bit tougher to make the money they used to, and looking at other ways to make money. And I think that this could be a good opportunity for you. But from doing the music studio, I started a video production business. I got out of college, wanted to start doing video production. And so I ended up doing a company called Innova Digital. We did off-site video work. And initially I was shooting what I would have done whatever, but we really kind of hit our stride doing product videos, short form commercials, kind of corporate ads. We go film interviews. I'm actually just coming off of a shoot that we just did the other day. But that business had a lot of challenges with it too. The sales cycle was really tough. And I always say it was bigger checks, but further apart. And anyone that works freelance video knows how kind of cyclical the business can be, and how difficult it can be to differentiate yourself, and just the peace of mind that comes with knowing that you're going to have continuing work coming in. And so in 2022, I started Chicago Podcast Studio. And over the last couple of years, I've been growing that business, and I documented a lot of it. And some of those videos that I documented did pretty well. YouTube, we have a decent sized following on YouTube for a niche community, for a niche topic, I suppose. And then ended up deciding to start TSB not that long ago, a little over a year now, to help other entrepreneurs do it. But long story short, this isn't my first rodeo, but it is a new rodeo for me. And I think doing all the businesses that I've done over the time, this business has done the most just kind of organic growth. I love not having to go to people's sites. I love not having to quote a whole bunch of stuff. It's usually just like people come in here, we built a great space for them, they book it, and the whole engine, the machine is well oiled at this point, which I think is super important. And obviously, from a scalability and just a life perspective, you ideally, as an entrepreneur, want to be able to not walk away, but not work entirely, within the business all the time. They always say you want to work on the business and not within the business. So that is a little bit of my story. I always like to talk a little bit about results, not to flex, not to hype it up, but just to show people what's kind of possible. And so these are our numbers from last year. Down at the bottom right, you see we did about $225,000 worth of sales. And the majority of this came in for people doing podcast-related services, but we introduced that year a different SKU, what we call general studio content, because I figured we got all these beautiful sets. I know how to work cameras, we know mics, all this sort of stuff. Why limit ourselves just to podcasts? And now we do a good chunk of business that way. And we've also moved into another studio. I'm upstairs in our new space here. And that business, we get into events and even more things. And so this year, we are on track to hit about $450,000, $500,000. Fingers crossed with that, but we're tracking really well to do that. I have one full-time employee, and it's really just the two of us. So if you do the math, margins are good, and we're doing well. And so hopefully, I can relay what I've done so that you can apply this to your business too. But one thing I saw the other day that I thought was a good thing to bring up on a presentation such as tonight is Walmart just did a collaborative kind of venture with Full Sail University, and they actually introduced a full-on studio within Walmart, which is kind of a weird thing. But I think my takeaway from that is that bigger companies are taking notice of the opportunity that is kind of a turnkey studio solution. And so this studio offers more than what we do. They kind of double up as like a music studio, as a a podcast studio, an event space, which again, we check a lot of those boxes. But I think it's just a really good indication that there's still a lot of opportunity within this space, essentially. And so go look it up. I just pulled this article from some Tennessee thing. It's at one of their flagship stores down in Tennessee. Again, a collaboration with Full Sail. But I just saw it the other day, and I thought it was cool. So I wanted to show it to you guys. So we'll dive into kind of the meat and potatoes. Again, expedited version of this today. Again, for those that have seen it, might be a little repetitive. But for those that are just getting into maybe their first business or are just wondering if this is going to be something that they want to do, I think that it's very common for creative people to get in and just, hey, I build a cool space. I know the cameras, I know the lighting, I'll make that great, and people will come. And the truth of the matter is that you still need to be a business owner. Sales is still what's going to drive your business forward. Obviously, cameras, sets, business operations are massively important. But I think the biggest mistake I see is that people spend so much time and watching YouTube videos about the best camera to get and not about spending that time looking for people to actually come to the studio and book. And so my number one thing that I try to get across to people is to learn about sales. You guys are here on this thing. We talk extensively about sales and growing your business within the studio business community, but spend a little bit of time. You're in the right place. Learn about sales. It is important. If you're not one of those people, I don't like sales, I get it. But if you want to be successful in business, it's just a necessary evil. From there, I want people to kind of rethink about what they actually are selling. And I think it's very common to think that, hey, I got a podcast studio, I'm selling podcasts, I'm selling content, I'm selling, social media views. But what you're really selling is stuff like exposure, networking, which we'll talk about in a second. You're selling, brand, and you're selling, what you're essentially pitching this service as is not like, oh, yeah, I'll throw it together a podcast where business owners, which are going to be your primary client, essentially, are interested in these things, but they need these things to get sales, right? Authority piece is really common, right? And so for many of the businesses that we work with, they're looking at this sort of stuff, right? They understand that the podcast itself might not be, we pretty much educate people from the get-go that don't think that you're going to get into podcasting, you're going to get a big check from Spotify because your business podcast about doing pool cleaning just blows up all of a sudden. It's not going to happen, right? But it's a good opportunity to interview people, build brand authority, network with people, and obviously just get exposure. And from a cost perspective, to come out and film a commercial, again, using our pool example, could cost thousands of dollars. I would charge you thousands of dollars to come out, film a video about you guys editing pools, but you could, for about the same amount of money, maybe a little bit more, do an entire season of a podcast, chop that sort of stuff up, and you will have hours and hours and hours of content, and ideally with a couple of cool people that could end up being clients. So that is one thing that I like to kind of just get across. You got to just rethink about what you're actually selling, and this will really help when it comes to sales time about talking to clients. All right. From there, how are we going to actually get in front of people, right? There's a couple of different ways to do it. And let's start with outreach itself. You guys are familiar with what this typically means. And so this could be either cold traffic or warm leads. Cold would be reaching out to people on Instagram. This would be messaging, emailing companies in your local area, being like, hey, I want to do you want to do a podcast? People that don't know you, trust you, any of that stuff. It is a core part of business. Plenty of the people on this are what we would consider warm traffic. You guys probably engaged with my YouTube channel. You probably saw the ad, watched it a couple of times, followed onto the landing page, signed up for the webinar, blah, blah, blah. So ideally, a lot of you guys already, come on, calm down here, already know me to some degree. And can you relax? Okay. You guys already know me, so you're warm, and so you guys don't know everything about me. You might think that, who knows about this Tom guy, but you are considered warm traffic. And so when it comes to outreach, there's a couple of good ways and a couple of bad ways to go about doing it, and I see it all the time. And I kind of alluded to it on the cold traffic. People will DM a business and they'll be like, hey, I got a cool podcast studio. Do you want to do a podcast? Makes sense enough, and I don't, totally blame you for thinking that might be a good route to do it. But you really want to approach it from a different angle, and again, sell those other things. Not the podcast, not about me. We've all, as business owners, gotten emails from people just advertising their own services and stuff. You don't want that, right? A good example of that would be, hey, I looked at your LinkedIn. I see that you have an upcoming event. You have a special for your pool cleaning business that you're running throughout the summer. Like, would you be interested in maybe doing a podcast episode with a couple of the key stakeholders at your pool business? And we can promote it that way. How does that sound? That's going to get much higher response rate than you just messaging them, hey, come use our service. So there's always good and bad ways to do it. But let's think about the other route, which is, again, how a lot of you guys ended up here, which is paid ads, paid traffic, right? This will not be a masterclass on that sort of thing, but I think with any business, it is important to learn a little bit about that. We have a good chunk of content within the community about running ads for your studio, but it is an important thing. Facebook, or Meta, as they say, makes it really easy. That's going to be your biggest source. Facebook and Instagram, owned by Meta. You can upload video content, which you should do because you own a studio, hopefully, or know how to do it professionally. Put together a nice ad. Again, maybe not just, hey, I have a cool studio, come use it. Have some sort of pitch, have some sort of offer, have some sort of, hook at the beginning of it. Don't just run the ad that's, a photo carousel. You're better than that, right? Spend a little bit of time, and if you have a little bit of money, this is going to be the easier, more direct way to get traffic. I know for a lot of you guys, you want to be a little bit more budget conscious. Cold outreach, warm outreach, talk to your friends, family before, reach out to your LinkedIn network. All that sort of stuff is good, and it's free. It just takes time. This takes money, but less time. Facebook does the promotion for you. Organic traffic is great. That would be kind of your SEO. This would be you just posting, fun reels and social media content for people to soak up. And that's great. It just takes time. And so I think people rely on organic a little too much. And it's something that will happen over time, but you don't want to focus on it. And so again, I think if you are starting out, you got to do one or the other, if not both. Again, if you have more money, spend a little bit on the paid ads. If you don't have as much money and have time, do cold outreach. But whatever you're doing, if you find that whatever time you're able to dedicate to this business, you are spending it watching YouTube videos about this lens versus this lens, or this microphone versus this microphone, I'm telling you, you're in the wrong direction already. If you redirected that time into actually doing some sales, you'd be much further along. One big tip that I see a lot of other studio owners do, it's a big thing that I teach here, is to host your own show. And this does a various, couple of things. So let's say you put your studio together, you invite local business owners to the space, ideally people that could potentially be your clients, right? We've seen really good traffic with with professional services, realtors, agency owners, things of that nature. Although we've worked with tons of different businesses, but invite people that you think could potentially be clients in the long run. You provide them a great experience. You show them what the studio's like. You invite them on for free, and you essentially or say, "Hey, I'm going to just like interview you about your business. Is that cool? Come by. We'll give you social media clips. Again, you're going to provide content. You're going to give them clips, maybe some photos, BTS photos here." And this is also going to kind of build rapport. It's going to get some reciprocity. Hopefully they, come, have a good time. And they're like, you know what, this actually seems fun. I guarantee you it happens all the time when people do their first podcast, they post the clips and it looks great. They get a big bump in engagement. Everyone's like, oh, wow, Timmy over here is killing it now. Like, I saw you on this big podcast. Like, again, your grandma's going to message you. I saw you on TV. And so for business owners, especially ones that don't get these kind of opportunities all the time, that's a big plus. And I think that it usually has a higher conversion rate than plenty of other things. And we've seen a lot of people within our community implement this, and it does well. Also, if you are just getting started, it's going to show kind of the capabilities to other people. And so a lot of people are like, I don't have clips to post. I don't have material to post because I don't have clients right now. This gives you the illusion that you have clients. And so other people will see you interviewing a bunch of other people. They'll see the clips, and then you will have a bunch of material that you can use for your social media advertising. You can use it as case studies, examples of, hey, we invited Joe Schmo on, and Joe Schmo now is not Joe Schmo, he's Joe legit, and he's been doing great. Look at those clips. His LinkedIn post or his Instagram reel got, 10,000, 100,000 likes and such like that. And so all of this within, just a couple of hours worth of your time is going to just really set you up for a good kind of whole cycle. What am I trying to think of? You're going to get a lot out of this. Everybody's back is getting scratched. You are getting good work, stuff to post on your social media pages. You're getting introductions to business owners. And instead of hitting them with the, hey, will you pay me immediately? It's, hey, I will do something for you with the hopes that you will then do something for me. And again, the conversion rate on this sort of stuff translates quite a bit. Then if we've done these 2-3 different avenues, right? We've done organic, let me get back to big here so everybody can see it. We've done some cold, warm outreach. We've talked to our friends, family. We've done some initial just reaching out to people. And again, volume is really important. People will send 10 DMs and think that they're doing a whole lot. I don't advocate that you copy and paste tons of messages. I think, a quality outreach versus a quantity outreach is important, but there's probably a time and place for both. And so if you, spend 2 hours messaging 3 people, we got to bump those numbers up. That's not going to work. So you got to get a lot more volume out. Again, if you have a little bit of money, you can spend as little as like $3 to $5 a day with, if I could spell day. It's really not a whole lot of money when you think about it. And I know it's like, well, it's more than I have. It's just a necessary evil. It's something you got to do. Obviously, if you don't have any money, you can go the other route. But I encourage people, even if you feel like it's a little tight, to spend money. I know it's very common for people to want to treat ads like a vending machine. I'm going to put in $1 and $3 is going to come back out. And if you do it right, it can work that way, but it will eject the money somewhere else or 3 months down the road instead of right away. And so you have to be kind of just willing to deal with that as a business owner. Facebook Meta does a great job with analytics and showing you how stuff's actually performing. And if you continue to tweak, learn these things, you will do well. We run ads. We spend $50 to $100 a day. I think Damien could confirm that. Maybe not anymore. But we go in and out of times we're spending a good chunk of money on ads for the studio. Obviously, some for stuff like this. But it's just as a business owner an expense that I've gotten used to spending, and it actually does translate to stuff. So we've done that. We've hosted our own show. We've started posting on social media and telling people about our cool services on LinkedIn and telling people at the party that, hey, I run a podcast to you, blah, blah, blah. We've done all these things, and we should start to have some leads here, right? Now, with these leads, where do we want to direct them? I'm a big fan of having an instant book feature on your website. And so this was one of the mistakes that I made really early on in my career is like, I thought people would want to reach out to, me first. They'd want to come see the studio. I'd send them an invoice, and it was flashbacks to my other business where that was a holdup, and then people don't pay their invoice and they cancel last minute, and you're all, butthurt. Instant booking is very easy. There's a couple of services within most website providers. If you have a Wix website or Square website, you can use Square Appointments, or Acuity is Squarespace's other option. There's a couple other ones. One of which is Podix in the group too, if you want to look into that. But having people the ability just to immediately book is really important. It prevents people from bothering you and kind of wasting your time. Those that have questions, obviously you answer them, but you would be surprised at how many people will book, come to the studio, and just understand what's happening without much like nurturing. And as a business owner, there's nothing better than seeing that little notification that pops up that, hey, I got paid, and we're all a go. Which another key point is with this, you get your money up front. Which everyone's in the world of like, oh, I'll pay you after. I don't do that. Most studios in our group don't do it, and I think people are okay with that. So you can go book it. I get the money same day that you do the booking, essentially. It blocks it off in the calendar. Everybody's happy. Yes, we obviously reach out to them and make sure that everything's set and that they know what they're getting into, but not having to deal with the back and forth, not having to do a tour, not having to discuss potential times back and forth via email is so helpful. And again, Square Appointments or Acuity really make that super easy. Podix as well. So that's an easy way to get the bookings. What are they actually booking, right? And I said I was going to talk about these couple of things here. And so I think the biggest one, let me throw myself over there, is podcasts, right? Podcasts are a really popular medium right now for advertising yourself, business, whatever. And a lot of small businesses are getting into this. And I think people, we've all heard the jokes about everybody's got a podcast. I would say maybe 20% of our business is what we consider retail level clients. So it's people just, hey, I want to, do a show on relationships and I'll invite my friends and whoever on. And while those clients can work, it's a tough business in the sense that they imagine they'll do 5 episodes, they'll get picked up by some network and they'll be a millionaire by the end of the year. And it just obviously doesn't happen like that, right? What we do see major success in is working with businesses because they're able to leverage the podcast for all those things that I talked about previously. And they also have money, which is super important. People, again, it's a little tough if it's like you're, at the end of the month when you're paid all your bills. We charge $300 for 90 minutes at our studio. It's a decent amount of money, and it's a little tough to get that from people. But businesses, on the flip side, again, if they're used to paying big production rates, they're like, that's it. And so that's obviously a good problem to have. So podcasts, I still think is probably the biggest, seller for us and what I would recommend for people. About 70%, I would say, 60% of our business is podcasts. But I talked about general studio content before, and that is an increasing thing. And while it started out kind of small, I would say now let's, just for fun, we'll say 20% because I'll leave it a little bit more for events after. But general studio content is great for a handful of things. One, it's basically the same service as podcasts, but we charge a little bit more because usually there's a little bit more value to it. So, hey, I don't want to do a podcast, but I want to do, a commercial for my business. I want to do a fundraising video. I want to do just social media clips. I don't care about a podcast. Like, I just want to do stuff like that. There's a lot of content related services that don't fall completely under the podcasting umbrella. But again, as someone that if you can facilitate the podcast, you most likely can do these other things. And I will say that the people that do general studio content with us are bigger spenders. And so it's the influencers, it's the agency owners, it's the businesses that really want to embrace social media and content. And they end up spending more and are usually just better clients overall. And so I think in the next year and a half, that these percentages will shift or maybe hit more of a 50-50 ratio. But I see it all the time, and especially with people that are in our community, they just do podcasts and like they don't have a bookable or don't advertise or don't show people their other capabilities. And again, it's like roughly the same thing, just delivered a different way. But the value of, a 90-minute podcast is only so much, whereas 90 minutes of kind of general studio time. I mean, we have people come in, they'll crank out a video sales letter for their funnel. They will do 5 social media reels. They'll do an introduction video to their course or there's some other page. They'll do a checkout video. They'll do a lot of different things and really extract a whole bunch of value from a short session. And it's a big value to them. One thing that we have seen a trend with other studios as well as their own is getting into events. And so again, to round out our numbers here, we'll put this at 10%. We, as of last year, moved into another space. It's what we call creator space here. It's in the same building as our old podcast studio, but it has a stage. And I think it's a picture that I showed you guys earlier of the Who's This For? And what allows us to do is essentially host certain events for people. And so we'll have real estate firms come in. We can host about 50 people in there. They'll bring in food. They'll have a panel discussion. They'll have, networking opportunities amongst people. And what makes it unique from a, service perspective is that the production is taken care of, right? So we have a PA, we film it, we'll, chop up reels and social media content for you. So not only are you getting a cool event space, but you're getting a ton of different, content from it. And we've had tons of inquiries for, book signings, again, panel discussions, little concerts, all types of things. For anyone that's, maybe I shouldn't disclose this, but we've had a decent sized company reach out to us about hosting kind of a cool experience type thing that is a trendy date night activity right now. And we'll see if we'll be able to get that job. But without having a space like that, we wouldn't have been able to get into these opportunities. And while I think events usually require a larger space, I think if you're just getting into a small sub 1,000 square foot studio, it's going to be tough to host events, but you can absolutely host small things like workshops. And this is something that I've really slept on, is we have this space to do it. Obviously, I kind of do, education workshop stuff with you guys here, but we would probably kill it if we hosted how to, start a podcast, or how to not suck on camera, which is what I want to name one of them, because so many people come in and just don't know how to act, basically. But there's a lot of opportunity I see in the future in doing small workshops like this, and then obviously having a space that could accommodate this for other people. Because again, a lot of people come in this funnel and they'll do the podcast first, then they start doing general studio content, and then they have a little bit more money, they've seen some success, they'll get into the event side of stuff. Finally, a lot of people obviously want some sort of package option, right? And so again, I won't go into everything here, but if just booking that studio time up front, and essentially what we deliver and what I recommend people do is just raw files here. And so we essentially just upload the footage, and we'll be done. And I'll address editing and one of the frequently asked questions that I get in just a minute. But at least for me, a lot of our work is just for the raw files. And again, I'll dive into that a little bit more. But for plenty of people, they'll want, hey, I've been coming to you guys for a little bit. The podcast is doing well. Let's talk about a more serious deal. And this is going to be where you can hopefully get a little bit more money, a little bit more security, a little bit just bigger of a check, right? And so I'll just briefly, talk. A basic package essentially could be, X number of studio time and basic edits, let's say. So they'll come in, hey, I'm going to sell you 5 hours of studio time a month. We'll do whatever social media reels you can get through, and we'll do 2 podcast episodes. That would be a basic package. And now you can do a monthly deal, or you can just do what I call punch card. And so a lot of people love monthly because it's stable. It's it's routine. It's routine business. I personally have found it to be a little bit of a pain. I think even if people sign a contract, it's tough to enforce it unless you're really willing to take them to court or charge a card even after they're like, hey, I can't afford this, or I'm broke or something. And there's nothing worse than somebody, hey, my mom died. I'm traveling to, I shouldn't say it like that. My cousin, somebody didn't die. My sister's getting married this summer. And I want to cancel my session with you guys for the month. Can you not charge me, basically? And then it's like, well, we had a deal, blah, blah, blah. So I don't love retainer deals. I don't really love monthly deals. We use what's called punch card. And so people buy X number of episodes, or they, again, commit to some sort of package. And then it's just whenever you want to use it, we just metaphorically punch your card. And so you'll book off 10 episodes with us. And then usually we say about 10 to 12 months is kind of that timeline you got to do it in. Plenty of people move pretty quickly. Some people move slowly. But we're secure. We get half of the money up front, half it halfway. So again, we're always prepaid. And it keeps it flexible for the guests so that they can, or the podcasters, so they can just book when they need it, and not feel like they're committed to a schedule. There is some value to a schedule when it comes to podcasting, but again, I think a lot of our clients prefer the punch card system. Um, a mid-tier thing would be kind of the same stuff, but then let's say we're going to advanced edits. Maybe we're doing more social media clips. We're doing hooks at the beginning of the podcast. We're doing a little bit more above and beyond stuff. Let's say publishing. A lot of people want hands-off podcasting. Most of them don't want to pay for it, but plenty of people will ask. We do not handle the publishing on many things. I'm sorry, you guys, I can't even see this. My handwriting's awful anyway. But a lot of people ask about it. It's personally something that we don't like to do because it's usually one of those things that's like takes a decent amount of time and they don't really want to pay a whole lot for it. And it keeps a little bit of buy-in from them to like, keep up with it and do the podcast. So I personally love to just do, one kind of portion of the service, but a lot of people ask about this, and I think for plenty of other people, if you're down to do it, publishing and getting the podcast out, maybe even posting the clips on their page is a big value to people. And more advanced offers could essentially just be, again, similar things, but larger number of episodes, let's say, larger number of deliverables. Maybe you're doing consulting with them. Maybe you're booking clients. You could even be advertising for them. And I'll say that this, for those that know the industry, this is starting to be kind of on the agency side, a podcast agency, less so a podcast studio. But again, if you got people asking for it, I think that it's worth doing. As it kind of, I like using percentages. I'll be transparent with you guys that the raw files are kind of basic stuff is probably about 80% of our business. And maybe 20% is package-based things. And so everybody's mix is going to be a little different. And I think it's important to kind of figure out where you want to be in the cycle. Do you want to handle everything? Do you want to just handle a certain portion? And again, in just a moment, I'll talk about some of the frequently asked questions, and that might kind of help dictate. But create your own mix on this sort of stuff. And before you know it, you should be doing pretty well. So just to recap, again, learn about sales. Take it seriously, guys. If you want to make money, you got to learn about selling people. Wink, wink. And learn about what you actually sell. This will help you not only understand how to position your studio and what you're offering, and also help out with the conversations. Again, everyday retail people, they might be wowed by your ooh and ahs, but the business owners want to talk about, they want to hear the truth and that you're going to actually help their business out. And if you explain it like this, you will do much better than if you explain it like this. Sorry, guys. Now that we know what we're doing, how do we get people in? We're going to cold outreach. We're going to warm outreach. We're going to do good versions of that. We're going to be direct to certain people. We're going to show that we gave a shit about, doing some research, making sure that actually be a good fit. And we're not going to just buy an email list and copy and paste this bullshit email to people. Paid ads, the second you start having some money, spend it on paid ads, scale it up over time, spend a little bit of time getting used to that ecosystem. It really is going to make a difference, whether you stick with podcast studios, content studios, or you end up doing something entirely different. Advertising is just a core principle of business. You got to do it. Host your own show. It's a good opportunity for you. You'll actually learn too about how to be a better host so you can educate people that come to your studio. It'll get you reps. It'll get rapport. Hopefully, it gets some leads through the door. It'll get you content to post for your studio as well. Now that you have these leads, right? What are we going to do with them? We're going to send them to our website. There's going to be an instant booking option. So many people will just book and not have to talk to you, and it's the greatest thing ever. So make sure, if you get one thing from this, have instant booking on your site. Don't discount the idea of doing stuff outside of podcasting. Again, general studio content. Or just filming in general is super important. If you maybe could pony up a little bit more money and get a space that is a little bit larger and could host maybe some workshops that you host yourself, or rent out to other people to host that, I think that there's good opportunity in that if you can get a space that would accommodate that sort of stuff. When it comes to pitches and proposals, again, you can decide how much or how little you want to do. You naturally will get people asking about doing this sort of stuff. And I think for people, that are just starting out, getting a handful of people onto some sort of package, onto some sort of retainer with them is really going to be the easier way to scale your business. I think it takes a little bit more time to get the more one-offs running. And ideally, if you get a couple of big fish in, again, I think this is titled something about making 100K. It doesn't take that many people at this level to hit a monthly goal of that. And then these could be the fill-ins. Again, we've lucked out enough that we have such volume of people that come in here that we don't have to rely so much on the packages, but they both end up helping. And that is pretty much that. And so I want to transition to the sales part of this, guys, right? And so I want to talk a little bit about TSB. Don't back out right away. You guys sat here for the whole presentation, so we're going to go through a little bit about it. But TSB is really the only community that I'm aware of that is a podcast content studio resource center. Started a year and a half ago. There's so many great people that are on it, and I'm really proud of what we've done. We have an upcoming event here in Chicago. We're going to do it at Creator Space. It is unfortunately been a little postponed. Damien, you're just going to hear about that first time too, but I think it's something we're going to do in the spring because I want to make sure that's going to be an absolute awesome event. Some of the people that I'm about to introduce you to are going to be people that will speak at the event. And it's going to be a great way if you don't want to join the community, that's one thing, but I hope you come out to the event because it's really going to be a first of its kind in this kind of new upcoming industry. We have members from all over the world. It seems like we have a lot of people in here tonight from just the US, but we do have people from all over the world, which is really fun and gives us a really global perspective about what works. We obviously have tons of content, guys. I mean, we do host weekly streams. We do this new thing called Hot Seat Coaching, where members of the community will do a live conversation with me, and I go through their business and talk about what could be improved, how to improve things, whether it's sales, whether it's their operations, whether it's about hiring, and all of it's recorded. And so if you miss one of the streams, you can obviously go back and do it. This isn't some Discord page. This isn't a Facebook group. This is a whole separate platform hosted on community, and there's so much there. We host tons of one-on-one interviews with other studio owners. I think there's about 15 of them now from people that are really successful, and they're hour-plus long interviews. If you followed our newsletter or even on our YouTube channel, we post a little bit of some stuff from those, but such a big piece of value just there, hearing from other studio owners. We have equipment lists, sales blueprints, and really so much more. And again, going back to the equipment side of stuff, if I can save you the heart and headache of getting the wrong equipment, that is going to be worth the price of admission, if nothing else. Trust me. And then we also have a course that's being worked on. So there's a couple of modules in there that's going to be included. It's not its own separate thing, but there's going to be a whole bunch of content around that. And again, there's really no other space, YouTube or otherwise, that has the amount of information and content around running a studio as the studio business community, of course. Real quick, I wanted to introduce you to some people. This is Keyshawn. Keyshawn was a consulting client of mine. He doesn't have a background in media at all. He was an accountant, got into podcasting, did $100,000 in his first year. He runs this from his basement, and go check him out. He's absolutely killing it out of Atlanta, and a really cool guy, and a guy that, again, just saw the business opportunity, executed on it, and has been doing really well. This is Trevin. Trevin has a great business called the Video Podcast Studio out in Vegas. He's killing it too. Probably doing even more these days, but really smart guy. There's a lot of content from him, interviews and streams we've done together within the community. Absolute killer, but Vegas, a pretty, contested market, has still made a massive amount of impact and does great sales from there. This is Aaron. Aaron, before he even had a studio, he posted in our community that he had just, rented the space and was kind of essentially pre-selling some of his clients, and ended up doing over $17,000 in 60 days just on essentially pre-selling studio time. And again, just a killer. Vuk out of Dubai. Look up Podster in Dubai. He does over 1.5 million USD every year. So dwarfs me, definitely a titan in the industry. He's a member in the community, is active, and is really open and is willing to talk to people, which is super cool. And so all this to say, you can just get exposure to these individuals, and it's not just me in there. It's really a community in the sense that there's so many other people that have so much to contribute, and I think that's what really makes it fun. Cade of Shoot Social in Colorado said, thank you for all the feedback and answers and ideas. I couldn't have done it without this community. And here's some photos of his space. And after seeing all that we have posted in there, this set in particular is literally like my exact set that I showed him. And so, again, just another kind of case study. Donna of Maker Street Studios in Pennsylvania. I joined TSB in March of 2024 as an aspiring studio owner. The idea was to learn as much as possible in other studios before we jump in on the fire. And I think that that made total sense for her. And I think that a lot of you guys that are watching tonight are in that same thing. You're deciding if this makes sense for you. And again, I think if anyone's about to start a mobile studio, start a physical studio, having good information is really, really important. And you could spend a long time looking on YouTube videos or trying to extract information that's just not publicly available about how to do a business like this. And so I think we have a really unique proposition, a really unique place in the industry. And so here's the call to action, guys. We would love for you to join the studio business community. It is offered in a biannual and an annual membership tiers. You can visit the website right there. Hopefully Damien is watching and he's putting it in the comments there. But go check it out. I can't imagine, again, we price it at a point that I feel is overly fair for what it is. I think for plenty of people watching, you know, it's still some money, but again, what the value is within the community for half a year, it is absolutely worth it. And I think there's a lot of members, maybe some that are watching here tonight, that would agree. So if you visit that page, you'll see what's there. If you decide that that is out of the realm of possibility, then all you got to do is continue to subscribe to the newsletter at the very bottom of the page. I think you guys, by being here on this webinar, will probably be added to that to begin with. We post a weekly newsletter where we talk about all things about the business. We sometimes post kind of behind the scenes content from the group to the public to obviously help entice people to join. But if you took away anything from today, if you've seen my other content, if you've been on the fence about it, I want this to be your push to join. We've, in that time, had a lot of members come through the doors. We have a lot of active people. And again, it's not just me spewing off information. It's not just a course. It's really a community of people. When you're having a good day, when you're having a bad day, that will be there and support you. And really just give advice, information, and just a sense of we're all rowing together. I think entrepreneurship is a lonely path, and being around a bunch of other people that are not only going through the same stuff, but working within the same industry is absolutely key. So join the studio business community. Go to thestudio.business today, and you guys can see some of those membership options. I want to spend a little bit of time going through Q&As here. I'm going to take a break, and before I do these ones, or let me maybe just cherry pick these. I'm going to take a break, and why don't you guys start tossing in your own thoughts into the comment section, and I will scroll back and we'll get some stuff addressed. But I'm just starting out. Is this community right? Oop, hang on, let me get me back on screen there. I'm just starting out. Is this community right for me? And I think, yes, absolutely. I think there are people that have joined the community, decided it wasn't for them, not the community, but that the business wasn't. And would still feel like, hey, Tom saved me a bunch of time, heartache, money. You know, it was nothing about, you know, the opportunity, but just like it just wasn't the right fit. Maybe I just didn't see this. And so that could be a route. But if you are actually serious and really wanting to do this, again, the money that it takes to get into the community is going to pay itself 10 times over by us solving so many of the problems of what equipment to get, how to talk to people about the sales things, how to actually have a good website template, how to integrate remote sessions, how to do so many things that are kind of obscure details about things. Yeah. Best place to get first clients. I think we talked about that a good chunk. Reach out to friends, family, your initial network, and go from there. How do I find high paying clients? I think that, how do I say that? I think that they develop over time. We've seen people that have started off as not big clients and end up paying, you know, more as they get good. So partner with people, not in the sense that you're working for free, but you know, be willing to meet people where they're at, and don't discount somebody that's coming in just once a month, because you never know what they'll end up doing. Ideally, we can help them out, make more money. High paying clients are also businesses. Businesses are just going to wince less about paying for stuff than individuals are. I think everyone assumes individuals are going to be your biggest contributor, but they're not. Best advice for set options and space arrangements. I always say get a couple of sets. I think having a lounge hangout set and a desk setup that's a little bit more professional are good. I made the mistake of having just a single set when I started, and I always encourage people to do two. Have flexible seating arrangements, so make it, just make it flexible. So if you got 2 guests, 3 guests, 4 guests, that the room can still look good and is versatile. We have 2 sets that definitely do the majority of our business. We have like 6, 7 total now, but those 2 really are kind of the main staples. Best-selling services, again, kind of talked about that. I think podcasts, but general studio content super important. Should I take on the editing work? This could be a long thing, but I won't be that way because, like I said, I'm trying to be shorter here today. But we don't handle as much editing as we could. I think for a lot of people, you would imagine that you have to, but the truth is that you don't. And editing is a can of worms. It also is tougher to charge the same price point that we do for the studio time itself. And so if you only have 40 hours a week to work on your business, it makes sense to do the most high margin thing that you can, the most profitable thing that you can. And so for us, that's the studio time. That's the actual shooting. And so while we do take on editing projects, it is to fill in the gaps and to have stuff to do in the downtimes. If we could be totally stacked full calendar with just studio time, we would be doing that. Yes, we could hire other editors and such, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. And so there will be editing work associated with your business. That's one of the first things, and that's maybe branching into the second question here is, what roles do I hire outsource first? I pretty much immediately hired an editor for the people that did want their episodes edited and could make a little extra money. I think hiring somebody local that could help out at the studio is important, but remote editing help is obviously cheaper and more readily available. You can hop on sites like Fiverr or ideally Upwork and connect with other freelancers in the US, outside the US, upload files to them and have them handle that part of your business. Again, if you're spending half of your time editing the videos and not working on the business selling or working on the business as in shooting, it does not make as much sense to you. Again, you just want to be doing the most high value thing that you can. And can I start small and work my way up? And I think that, yes, you absolutely can. I think my word of advice, though, is that you start at a professional point, at whatever that is. Again, I showed a guy that did it out of his basement, but he hired me. He built out a nice studio, and he clearly knows how to run a business. And it looked great. It was its whole separate thing. It wasn't like a spare bedroom type deal. But I think that tiptoeing too small is a bad idea. I don't think that you need to do a massive build out, have 6 sets, drop $100,000 before you see a single dime. But I would discourage going a little too small. I think plenty of people get into this, want to do it as a side project, and that makes sense. But it still takes a little bit of effort to make it work. And so you got to be willing to do it. If you don't have time and you're just hoping to spend the startup money and then put people in and have it run itself, it's just not going to happen, guys. So I have just rambled for 53 minutes, but anyway, there you go. Damon had dropped that in there. I'm going to go back and view some comments here, and we'll go from there. But this is the time, guys. If you have questions about today's stuff, you let me know. I'm going to scroll back first, and we'll go kind of in order. Oh, audio's a bit choppy. No, I should have looked. I'm sorry, guys. Walter here. Okay. I'm sorry if the audio is choppy. I apologize about that. Audio is cracking, by the way. Love your space. Totally future goals. Thank you. Arizona, I don't miss the top part there, but you'd be printing money doing so. Can't wait to use our vibe board like this too. Splashy Tech, yeah, the vibe board's dope. It's been nice. We like it. When you say raw files, you mean straight from camera, not chopped up at all? Yes, exactly. We do audio into the cameras typically, or they're raw files. We do it live cut from a podcasting perspective. So we usually using a Blackmagic switcher like I'm using here, do it in real time. And the color grade's already built in. The audio from the mixer is synced up into the switcher and then onto the recording. So yeah, anything that we can do to prevent having to go back and edit stuff is definitely important. We upload those files to Google Drive, and those are considered our raw files, exactly. How do you deliver the raw files? Yeah, we just use Google Drive to do that sort of stuff. I'll let them download from an SD card. Yeah, sure, else they'll bring in their own drive, and they can just plug in straight to our ATEM and get all their ISO files. How is it possible to run a space like a 24-hour fitness without someone being in the space? I think that the major value for it is that the engineer and the staff and the production is built in. And if you just let people come and use it, most people aren't going to know how to use this stuff. And it also, by not being in that space, introduces, it's hard to steal a gym equipment, and it's also hard to like destroy raw iron. It's really easy to steal cameras and screw cameras up. And so I think I would not recommend having a space that people can just, rent and use all the equipment. If it's just like a photo studio on Peerspace, maybe, but you definitely, at least for me, I wouldn't want people in there without my supervision. Whatever your clients wants, best is mixed output plus individual camera shots. Yeah, exactly. Some people do that. And yeah. Mitch, how important is it do you feel 4K recording is? I'm already a member, but I'm asking here. Yeah, Mitch. Oh, thank you, man. I have 4 Canon cameras. It looks great going into the switcher 1080. Yeah, 1080 is still great. The switcher itself obviously is locked at 1080, so that poses kind of a problem. But we find that 1080 is fine for a lot of people. We can do 4K. You can put SD cards in the cameras and make it work, but the files are so big. It's really not that big of a deal. If you have nice cameras and do good job with lighting and settings, you can get the 1080 to look really good, even for chopping up for social. Can't wait to get some, Riley says, can't wait to get some clients in and afford the year sub. Riley, I hope that you do, man. Again, I know it's not for everybody, and the last thing I want to do is pull money from somebody that is, doesn't have it available. And obviously, you guys got to focus on your business. If you enjoyed what you heard, definitely subscribe to the channel. Again, follow the newsletter. And we hope to see you in there. So many people have attended this and then months later ended up joining. So you would not be alone in that. What to look out for or watch out for when searching for a property. That was Coroniism. Find a place that is quiet. Find a place that will let you do a single year lease. Find a place that I think is better open and not tiny rooms. That would be the separate sets. Tiny rooms are tough from a video camera perspective. And a lot of people think that, I could run 3 sessions at the same time, but not a problem if you're just starting out. We have 2 studios now. We can run things concurrently, but I would say just get one set of equipment. Look at something like a Mega Desk. Look at our channel. We post that all the time. That helps keep things tidy, and the transition time between sets really important. And so I have more stuff to say on that, but you said don't go too small. What square footage do you feel is a good balance? Our first studio is 1,100 square feet, and we still do a lot of stuff out of there. I think that that's a good number. I think if you're like sub 500, you're probably too small. I think if you're just starting out and have 1,500, 2,000, it might be too much. And so whatever you think that you can afford and is going to be a good enough space. But I think, 800,000 square feet feels good. It feels legit. Jazzy, great content. Thank you. Always good to see you. Carrie says, I think you mentioned charging $300 for 90 minutes of studio time. Is that from the time they walk in the door and the walk out, or is it set time recording? Yes, it's from when you walk in not from when you walk in. It's the time you book. So if you book for that 90 minutes, we're lenient a little bit with the arrival of stuff, but it is, you are there to record. And so if you're late, that's on you for the most part. Again, we're a little flexible and we get it with traffic, but we can't just like, oh yeah, you're an hour late. Like, cool, we'll start now. It is a common question. People ask that, but no, absolutely. You pay for the time that you book. If you're 30 minutes late, sorry, that's gone. That's on you. What's included for that $300? We just do the live cut. And so we usually run 3 cameras for a 2-person interview. Somebody sits with you. We run it live. We cut between the cameras. So we give you a pre-edited file. We'll give you an audio file as well. We upload that to Google Drive same day. And that's what you get for that. If you want to have all the footage, all you got to do is bring a drive or pay a fee, and we'll upload it all for you. But that's it. You get the space, the studio, and engineer, and those raw files. Is it a good idea to charge for clips as an add-on? Absolutely, Jazzy. Yeah, absolutely. And with tools like Opus and stuff like that, it definitely helps out. So yeah, absolutely charge for clips. Splashy says, I have a full-time job. If I were to start with 1 employee, what skills and what would you want them to be capable of? I think hiring somebody that's kind of a jack of all trades is important. I think you should find someone that obviously can run sessions so that you're not tied up doing that all the time. You'll notice pretty quickly once you get to a certain volume that, like, you know, you'll have other people calling you, other sales attempting to happen, and you're going to be locked into working with the client, and that can be tough. So find someone that is able to shoot, ideally edit, and is good with people. It's really important as a service business to have people that can, talk and not be weird and show up on time. Again, you can outsource editing, but I think finding someone local to the space that can help out with all those things is what I would push you towards. Reach out to colleges and see if there's some interns or someone that has some part-time availability and could be a good source for you. It's obviously tough to find good people, but it's worth the effort if you're able to find them. Open set studios, how do you feel about having multiple sets in one space that wouldn't be able to book consecutively? That's how our studio is set up currently. I think that it has pros and cons, but we only book one person at a time. I think people like having the whole studio to themselves. And again, I think unless you plan on doing a good chunk of volume or have the clients to support it, you're most likely not going to get booked concurrently so much. And then it also poses the problem of, we have one set of equipment downstairs for the most part. We have some stuff that doubles up, but we have 3-4 cameras that cycle between each space. If I had to potentially buy 12 cameras to run things concurrently, that drastically increases the cost. You also have to have 3 operators, more staff. So it's a problem, but not a problem if you're just starting out. Riley Black Media. How do you guys deal with virtual guest software? We use Riverside. The channel is actually a Riverside sponsor, or at least we were. But Riverside works out great. You can use other services, but that gives you a better way to record the guest footage and facilitate it. It has its problems here and there, but it's the best that we've been able to find. And there's a little bit of like routing and complication that goes along with doing that, but there's a bunch of posts of that in the community there too. Greg here just joined after our weekly podcast. Greg, thank you so much. I think I might have seen that come through. I'm excited to, if I haven't already reached out to you, I'm excited to do so. Thank you for being here. What is more your ideal client, businesses or individual walk-ins? Again, I think businesses are better about paying. They get it a little bit more, and they're usually a little bit easier to work with. But most importantly, it's like they're just, when you're like, oh, it'll be $300 for 90 minutes, they're like, cool, done, whereas individuals might tense up a little bit more. We have, people that have been individuals and do, fine with us, but we notice that they drop off a little bit more. And I'm big on the right views and not the amount of views. And so businesses, if you get, 500 plays on your pool cleaning podcast where you talk about the best practices for pool cleaning, that audience most likely, and again, let's say you sell the chemicals or whatever, those people are most likely going to end up, the people that are interested in that, it's higher quality, right? So it's just like it's the quality of the view, not the amount. Whereas the individuals are more interested in the amount. They could post a podcast and get 500 views and be like, it's whatever. They're looking for the 10,000, a million because they want to be famous. Do a couple more here, and then I got to hop everybody. Mitch, how do you get on the hot seat coaching? Mitch, reach out to Michelle in the group. I have 5,600 square foot content studio, and I'm a member. Having content studio rocking offices rented out, looking to grow our podcast business. Mitch, I'd love to talk to you, man. I feel like I need to do a hot seat with you. But yes, so reach out to Michelle in the group. And she can get you on the list. I think we have one more to get through, and then you could be after that. So I will make note, or Damien, if you're still watching, if you could just make note of that and either have Michelle reach out, or again, Mitch, reach out to Michelle in the group and she'll get you on the list. JC Edwards, will this webinar be available after it ends? Yes, we will post the recording. It'll be in an email or an email. It'll be a post to you. Yes, you guys will get it. And then business equals investment. Consumer, why so expensive? B2B only. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. So, I mean, again, I don't know if I'd say they have to be business to business only, but you'll be better with businesses. I think it naturally ends up that businesses be the ones that hire yes the most, but yes, focus on businesses, spend the time. What if the switcher op makes a mistake on the live cut for a client just purchasing a new, do you have fix in those house, complicated delivery? We get pretty good about doing it. Yes, mistakes can happen. You can do a premature cut, but it's not catastrophic. And should they want to do the ISO recordings, you can get the live cut and the individual feed, so you could go back and correct it. Blackmagic will also give you a DaVinci Resolve file that has the cuts in there. You could go back and address it. But if a little mistake happens, we just kind of roll with it. It's just kind of what comes with the territory, because to go back and fix it would take another hour and a half maybe, and that's a pain. So just get good. Once you get the reps in, we do literally hundreds and hundreds of podcasts a year, so we're pretty good about doing it. And should you want to prevent that problem, get the ISOs and bring in your own drive. Mitch, looking forward to it. Jazzy, we'll do this last one here. Do you ever offer to manage or publish people's content for free? They don't know how to do it. I don't like doing anything for free, and not because I'm cheap, but more so because I just like, people don't value free. And again, if you're late posting something, it depends on the client. Like if it's, it's a favor, it's a friend, if it's someone that's spending enough money with you, sure, offer to do it for free. Like, there's not like it's a bad thing. For a fee, yes, for a fee. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Again, I talked about that. Like if you want to do it, go for it. I think it's just not worth the effort for me. But a lot of people obviously have interest in like, I just want to come in and do nothing. Cool. And if they're willing to pay for it, then absolutely take it on. I just don't want to have to do the hurdle of juggling too many passwords and stuff like that. So, Mitch, or trigger words for all of us. Yes, fee. I don't know if it's fee or doing things for free. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much. A lot of you guys are still hanging out here. I feel bad that I got to cut it short. I'd love to sit around and do more question and answers, but duty calls. We got a session coming in now, pretty much. And I'm gonna go, unfortunately, have to take that because my other guy took off. So long days, we are blessed to have 12, 15-hour days where we have people come in the morning and then I have to work late. It's a blessing to be that. So yeah, Jazzy, I know you remember, don't you worry. Anyway, guys, Damien posted one more time. Please, if you guys did get some value out of it and if it doesn't feel right to be a member now, I get it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the newsletter. We would do these often enough. Get involved in what we got going on here. But again, I think if you are thinking about doing this, if it feels like a little bit of a stretch, I'm telling you, you will walk away feeling like you got your money's worth by doing this. There's so much great stuff in there. You could make that purchase tonight and you will have weeks and weeks of content to watch back. Again, you could get exclusive access to those 15 interviews and listen to those over the next 2-3 month and a half, whatever. And singly just that, you're going to get so much information from other successful studios, not just myself, not just what we did, but what they did. There's a whole bunch of information in there. So again, check that link out. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. Adios, everybody.